Okay, so today we're going to go over a bench overview. This is going to be about bench cues, hand placement, what you should feel, and then most importantly, leg drive. So let's just start off with the simplest, how to set up. So a lot of people, when they set up for bench, just lay down, grab the bar, ready to go, boom. But if you're trying to make the most output of it, if you're trying to get the best weight possible, you actually have to engage multiple different muscles, set up your body, prime your body, make your body super activate your body so that all the muscles that you're using, you can use push up for more weight. So what do I mean by this? Well, part of it's leg drive, which we'll go over a little bit more in depth in a little bit, but a lot of it's your back. So when I start benching, the first thing I like to do is pin my traps to the bench right here, wherever it's gonna be, right? So I kind of do a rowing motion when I go down, traps touch the bench, adjust a little bit, pull it a little more. So now I have my traps tight against the bench, a little arch here, my butt's on the bench, and my feet will be on the ground. So this is kind of the basic setup position for bench pressing, a very strong stance bench press. And we'll kind of go over why having a strong setup is very important. So one reason it's important is if you're pushing weight at a competition and your legs move, your legs come off the ground, your butt raises, that's a disqualification for that bench. It's 3 red lights immediately. Your legs raise, your butt raises. I mean, your back raises, but if your back raises, we're doing something wrong here. So set yourself up, have your pinpoints on the bench where they are glued to the bench. Now, another thing is hand placement. Where do I put my hands? Some people, the biggest problem I see and people have is if they go too close or too far, right? So a good rule of thumb, that I like to stick by is having, when that bar touches your chest, try to have your arms be 90 degrees. Have a 90-degree angle between your bicep and your forearm. That's my cue. That's my cue. Obviously, not everyone can see that, so kind of go off feeling. But also, there are rings here for a reason. They're not just there to look pretty. I use my ring finger on the ring, but I'm also 6 foot and I have longer arms. If you're 5'3", it's a little different. If you're 5'3", a little different. 6'5", a little different, right? Always try to find that perfect spot to put your hands because, okay, you watching right now, let's go through a little experiment, okay? I want you to take your arms out and maybe go out here, right? Act like you're benching like this. Bring it down just like this, right? You feel it in your chest, yes, but you also feel it in your shoulder. And you're gonna feel that on your shoulder when you're benching. When you have hundreds, 200, 300 pounds on you, your shoulder, that force is going right into your shoulder, right into your rotator cuff, and that can cause so many more problems. So it's honestly better to go closer rather than further, unless you have training with that, unless you are specifically trained for that, where your shoulder can handle that load, that force on top of it. But right now, we're not doing that. The problem with closer grip is it's less chest activation and more tricep activation. Well, if you look at your tricep, if you feel your tricep versus your tricep is so much smaller than your chest, so you're not going to be able to produce nearly as much force as your chest. Your chest is a bigger muscle, your chest is a more powerful muscle. You want to use as much of your chest as possible while also being safe with your shoulder and engaging with your tricep to push. It's a compound exercise. You are using more than just your chest. It's not a fly. You're using a pressing motion, which is your front delt, your tricep, your short head more specifically, and then your chest. Does that make sense? Lastly, let's go over leg drive in this quick video. Leg drive is very, very complicated, and it also can mess up things we talked about earlier in this video, like keeping your ass on that bench. How I like to do leg drive and how I recommend you do leg drive is focus with your toes, not your heel. So let's go over heel first and why I don't like heel. So if we're going over leg drive, and imagine this is a heavier weight, right? and I'm going down to my chest, and I push with my heels, my butt's more likely to come up, especially if I'm pushing up or pushing down. Does that make sense? So I'm pushing my heels straight down, which is going to cause my butt more likely to come up as I'm going up. How I would rather you do it is, again, try to have your feet in a more straight position. It doesn't have to be completely straight. It doesn't have to be. Try to find a comfortable position for you for your feet. As in, don't have your feet out like this, but you don't have to have your feet completely straight. It'll make this next step easier. So how I like to think of leg drive is pushing with my toes, pushing my head back. These benches are sticky. You're not going to come off this bench, right? So if you're on the bench, set up properly, traps, butt, right? Engage your toes right away. You see how I push myself back? My quads instantly activate. So now I'm benching. My legs are activated, my butt's activated, my traps are activated. I'm ready for a powerful bench press. Boom. Boom. I would like you to have a consistent leg drive instead of more of a dynamic one, which we can work on later. But the difference between what I want and a dynamic, or I would say more dynamic, is a more dynamic would be setting up properly, going down, and then using the leg drive. I want you to always be using that leg drive, always be tight. Boom, right? And that's how I want that. All right, well, one last thing. We're gonna go over soft touches really, really quick here. Soft touches is, think of it, instead of touching to your chest, you're touching to your shirt. So especially in a pause, especially in a meet setting, if you're resting that bar on your chest and it's sinking, they're gonna wait till that bar is done sinking. Depending on how stiff your diaphragm is, how stiff your chest is, that might be sinking for a good second or two. So you're having that bar on you for an extra second when you could just be pushing it up. Sure, it might take the teeniest most effort to keep that slower tempo, lowering it to your shirt and then pushing it up. But I have personally found it to be much easier to have a 1 second actual pause with the soft touch rather than a 2 to 3 second touch where it's actually sinking in my chest and then I have to wait for it to press up. Okay? So let's just go over that real quick. Again, this actually isn't that complicated. It's more the application that you have to get used to. So again, going over everything, leg drive, butt, traps, right? Everything's ready, everything's tight. I'm bringing it down to my chest, and instead of letting that bar sit on it, I'm bringing it just to my shirt right there, holding it a little bit above. They're gonna call press, boom, I'm pressed up, and I'm good. It is so much quicker, it is so much more efficient, and you will find that in competitions, it is going to be much, much better because you're not going to have to be waiting 2 to 3 seconds for that bar to stop sinking into your chest. Okay, so that's my video on bench press, real quick, really quick and easy guide. I could do this for another hour, but to be honest, I don't really want to, and I don't think you want me to either. If you have any questions, please let me know. Send me a text, and leave it in the comments, whatever, and I'll answer it as quick as possible.